Now, I've said this before, but we don't know that much about magic in the world of RWBY. And to be honest, we don't know that much about Grimm either. But it's possible that these two concepts could be related in some way. That the creatures of Grimm are in some way born of magic. Now, on a surface level, this question could be written off as an easy no, that it's not possible. Because Grimm, by definition, lack a soul. That they can't generate an aura, which is what magic binds to, so there's no way that they could be born of magic or have any magic in them. But the point that mainly contradicts this is throughout the series, whenever we've seen magic being transferred outside of the normal means, like with the maidens, when a maiden dies, it transfers to another young woman who's ever last in their thoughts, etc., etc. But out of those natural means, there's only one other way that we've seen magic be transferred, and that is through Grimm. The glove that Cinder had to take the Fall Maiden powers from Amber initially had a bug-like Grimm that transferred the powers from Amber to Cinder. And the same when she used her full-on Grimm arm to take some power from Raven back at the end of Volume 5. So Grimm, so far, has been the only other way to transfer magic. Now, we've seen Atlas technology be able to transfer aura from one person to another, and even create Penny, an artificial being that has aura. But with Salem having access to Atlesian technology in the form of Watts, yet she used Grimm to transfer magic. Not Atlesian technology that Watts, being an failed Atlesian scientist, or disgraced Atlesian scientist, but of someone of some regard, considering he's making Tyrion's new tale, etc., that it seems that Salem knows that Grimm are a better conduit for magic than technology would be. And that being the case, and also the Grimm that have transferred magic, being able to transfer magic, it means that Grimm have an affinity for magic. Even if those were specially created Grimm, they were able to do these things, which means that they weren't destroyed by the magic, just having it pass through it, and that they were able to, transfer it to a different person. So with that being the case, couldn't it mean that although Grimm may not be able to have magic in and of themselves, that they are created from it, that they've had some exposure to it so it won't instantly destroy them? And to be honest, we don't know how exactly Grimm are born, how they're created. We saw in the beginning of Volume 4 that they crawled out of those black pools that were next to Salem's hideout. Now, we've seen that those pools are very concentrated right around Salem's hideout, and we've never seen Salem anywhere too far from her hideout. So it could be entirely possible that Salem has to stay in that area, feeding magic into the ground, into those pools, the spawning areas of the Grimm, just to be able to spawn them. We don't know exactly what Grimm are created from, and when they die, they disperse into dust. Very similarly to the summons that Weiss has, which are literally the exact same as Grimm, except just by looking at them, the summons that Weiss has are born from light, hence why they appear white or bluish, granted that is from her semblance, and the Grimm are creatures of darkness, which are born from the black pools that Salem controls. Now, they both die in similar ways. They are born differently, one being from semblance, one being from what I'm arguing is magic. And with those similarities, on top of they're both able to be controlled by the one who created them, it just makes sense, because Weiss being able to summon the Grimm and being able to control them, essentially the same way that Salem is able to control the regular Grimm creatures of darkness that she has, it would make sense that they're born from Salem's power, and then as Weiss's are born from her power. Now, again, we don't know the exact substances that they're made from. They don't really appear to have blood, even though that's been shown in the Red trailers and other things of that sort. They just disintegrate. And although semblances and magic are in and of themselves different, just the fact that a person is able to generate aura and have semblances that can do a lot of similar things to what dust can do, and magic doing what dust can without having to use dust as the physical substance, they're all related in some way in my mind. Now, magic in and of itself, we know, is more than just the elemental powers that the maidens has, because Crow and Raven can use them to transform their bodies into something that is a much smaller size and a much smaller mass than an overall human. So magic can do so many different things. So it just makes sense that if a semblance can summon another creature, another physical being that can operate on its own, granted being controlled by another person, why can't the Grimm be summoned by magic and be controlled by Salem? And Salem, in theory, having a large store of magic similar to Ozpin's, at least what Ozpin used to have, because Ozpin broke it up to prevent Salem from getting all of the relics, which in theory would mean Salem has all of this magic power that she's using to put into the Grimm, and that is creating her army. Where Ozpin has his 4 maidens, Salem has the army of Grimm, and then the other people that they both are respectively recruiting, which would make sense. Now, a second question, which is a lot less likely in my mind, is do you think it's possible that at some point in the series, could there be a Grimm, even if it's just a single special Grimm that Salem creates on its own, could there be a Grimm that has the ability to use magic on its own, even unconsciously? Like we've seen in different anime and different shows that when a creature that possesses some otherworldly power, when it howls or roars or something, it radiates out this energy. And it could be something along those lines. Even if it can't generate an aura or something, maybe there's a different way that magic could be bound to that physical being or something of the like. And although it's less likely, a lot less likely than what I think is possible, that Grimm are actually born of magic, even though Grimm can technically conduct magic through their bodies, I do believe that that would be a special characteristic. Otherwise, Salem could probably send a whole bunch of Grimm after a maiden, and assuming that the maiden could get overrun by Grimm, which, depending on what Grimm it would be, is possible, then she could just do that to take the maiden powers. But she doesn't. So, special Grimm being able to transfer magic from one person to another makes sense, which would also mean that I think they're born from magic, though I don't think they'll ever have magic of their own. It would be interesting if Salem could create a special Grimm that we might see endgame in the series, near the end of the series, that a Grimm could possess magic. And that would be a horrifying foe for the protagonist to face, because eventually the Grimm are going to hit a limit as to what they're going to be able to do, just being essentially almost mindless beasts. Yeah, they gain some sentience if they survive for hundreds, thousands of years, and they will become stronger, etc. But there's still going to be a limit to that, because at the end of the day, they are still soulless beasts. And if there's a little bit more effort put into creating them, and possibly power put into them that they can wield, that they can use against the hunters and huntresses and Ozpin's faction, it would make for a more terrifying foe. Now, as I said, this is probably fairly unlikely, but I think it would be interesting to happen. So, now I pose the question to you guys. What do you think is likely? Do you think that Grimm could actually be born of magic? And do you think, even on slim chances, that there might be a Grimm that can eventually use magic in and of its own right? Not anything on the level of maiden powers, mind you, but something to take someone off guard or something along those lines. But let me know down in the comments below. I look forward to discussing with you all. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.